neighborhoods are being gentrified everywhere, and what they need the most to sustain and continue to keep the heritage and history is ownership of those that live in the community.
And so I'd like to start off here. I mean, we know most pizza shops as being Italian marketed. And this one obviously is very Black and very for the culture. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on how the value proposition works there. Like, how do you market something that is historically seen as in one way, and you bring culture to it? Like, how have you seen that work out for you guys? Obviously successfully, but how do you do it?
Yeah, I would say, our initial vision concept was all about being, authentic. We wanted to, basically put our story, our culture, everything that, creates the Black experience on our walls. We grew up, in the era of dope 90s, hip hop music videos, movies such as Do the Right Thing, and we even got boycott sales on our walls in our restaurants because we felt like there was room for a concept and restaurant brand, not just pizza actually, but just something that told the story of Black culture in a high end way. And so the only thing Italian about our concept is the pizza. Everything else is 100% African American culture and our way to tell that story to the world.
Yeah, and I was reading something where you position this as music, art, and good food, obviously. And so how does the music part fit into, like, what is the experience like for somebody who's not been to a Slim and Huskies? What is the experience like inside one of your stores?
So yeah, it's a piece of art, music, man. That's something that we live by at Slim and Huskies, and man, music is aside from the pizza and the art, then the music is probably maybe a little bit more important than the art. Because when you come into Slim and Huskies, it's a feel that you get when you hear the music through the speakers, and that's something that what Clint's talking about is being authentic as an African American culture, man. Like, we noticed that we would be going to all these restaurants and stuff, but we wouldn't hear our music. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't see our art on the wall. But you got a bunch of Black folks in the back cooking. You know what I'm saying? Or patronizing the spot, right? So the music says off the rip, you know what I mean? This is, aside from looking at all the employees, this is a Black-owned business. You know what I'm saying? But inclusive though, so like that's very important for us to make sure that as Black as it is, man, this is an inclusive business. So the money is green. You feel me? So we ain't turning nobody away, or you know what I mean.
Right,
but our culture is we set the trends in America. You know what I mean? From the food to the music to the clothes.
That's right.
The film, education, all those type of things, man. We set the trend, so it's no, like, we don't apologize for it. You know what I mean? It's just instead of hiding behind, some walls, man, we put it out in front, man. And so the music, we got an unplugged series that we do, which we feature local and artists from out of town, man. And we do that once every other month, Clint? Once a month?
Yeah, almost quarterly.
Almost quarterly. So it's a huge deal, man. And we do concerts. We got a park called Pizza Park. We do concerts with a live band. So music is very much important to Slim and Huskies.
I love that, and I want you to go a little bit deeper because I was reading a lot about your story and this idea of gentrification. Like, you think that there's so many parts of our country that are historically Black, and affluent white people are moving in, and you found success in areas that are in the middle of that. And so while they may love our culture, they love our music, they love, the colors and all the things, they may not always love us, but you guys have found success in areas where that are being gentrified, and you got affluent white people moving in, but we still here trying to hold on to those properties. So talk about how Slim and Huskies fits into geographies and how you bridge the gap in those communities.
Yeah, what's crazy is when we first opened up, it was stemming from the sale of our initial business, which was a moving company, and our moving company was like, community based. We were hiring our friends that had been incarcerated. We had a big focus on giving back to our people, right, and giving them jobs, providing opportunities. And so we sold that business, and now we had this this money that we need to do something with. Now we couldn't just ride off in the sunset, man. We're entrepreneurs, so it's like, man, what we gonna do? So we decided to open up a restaurant. So we had the funds to go in any of Nashville's affluent areas, right? Like we went and looked at them all, and saw the real estate prices, and that wasn't an issue. But what was an issue was we just didn't really feel connected to any of the areas. Like it's like we were lacking purpose if we went to one of these areas that we're about to reinvest all of our money and time into. And so we started really to think, like, do we have to open up in these areas that are already booming, or do we want to open up somewhere that's needed and where we can bring value? And so that's when we decided to open up in zip code 37208, which is North Nashville, historic African American side of town, home to several HBCUs, Tennessee State University, Fisk University, Meharry Medical College, but also home to some of the highest rated highest rate of crime in America. And so there's reasons for that. It was not our culture. The reason was that our city wasn't just like other cities, wasn't reinvesting the time, money and resources into our neighborhood the same way as they were the others. And also taken away from the neighborhood by, changing infrastructure and, running interstates throughout the middle of our neighborhoods, cutting off economic, commerce and things like that. So, we said, like, this is where we want to go. We want to bring life, energy, business, jobs back to our own communities, because not just because it feels good, but because it's needed, right? And so we opened up on the 10th block of a street called Buchanan, and Buchanan had suffered for a long time from crime, drug use, and there was not an open business for probably like 10 blocks, and not it was considered a food desert in a very populated area, populated African Americans, and so. We decided to open up, and from day one, we saw what it meant to open up a black business in a black neighborhood, by providing jobs. We had a 15-year-old come apply for a job, and we told him, like, hey man, unfortunately, you got to be 18 to work here, But he gave us a spiel. He was like, man, I've been getting off this bus for 3 years. No, I'm sorry, for
3 years.
It wasn't 15. He was 17.
Yeah.
He was 17. We couldn't hire because he was 18. He hadn't, he'd been riding the bus for 3 years and couldn't get off the bus and find a job close to where he worked. So he had to get on another bus and ride to go find, work to help support his family.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what, man, if you show up tomorrow on the dot at 3 o'clock, man, and we'll see, we'll see what you're talking about, and we may hire you. You know what I'm saying? And he ended up, being one of our best employees, turned around, became an entrepreneur himself. You know what I'm saying? Now he created his own business, can start, supporting his own family. And, we just realized that, man, if this works in North Nashville, it can work anywhere. It can work in Atlanta, it can work in Memphis, it can work in Miami, Houston, Dallas, DC. It doesn't matter, because, neighborhoods are being gentrified everywhere. And what they need the most to sustain and continue to keep the heritage and history is ownership of those that live in the community. And so that's what we've dedicated ourselves to do. Now, all of our restaurants aren't in, areas that are being gentrified right now, but we are still very focused on those areas and committed to serving them.
Yeah, I want to spend some more time, because I think this is important, because I was thinking about like the Beltline in Atlanta when I was thinking about these questions, because you talked about uproars, like when they a whole around that belt line is, property values are skyrocketing, therefore property taxes are skyrocketing, therefore people are getting pushed out. And then you're seeing, new cultures come in. And I wonder, like, from your perspective, what role does small business play? What role do entrepreneurs like yourself play in protecting that heritage and creating opportunities? So if you can go in there.
I think the role for entrepreneurs, especially, I won't just single out, I don't want to generalize it. What role for Black African American entrepreneurs to maintain their cultures is at the highest level. You know what I mean? Like, we have to do that. It's our responsibility to do that, as well as take part in the economic advantages and benefits of being a part of an area such as, in Atlanta where the Beltline is, right?
Yeah.
It's our responsibility when it comes to owning property. But if you can't do that, put your business in these areas to allow the culture to continue to be there, continue to thrive. Because, let's just be honest, when you have a Black-owned business, 9 times out of 10, your employees are going to look like you.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So that allows you to, number one, maintain the culture by the people that work there, maintain the culture by giving your employees an opportunity, an economic opportunity, so they can go out and replicate, what you've done in your business. And then also ownership of the street, ownership of the business. I think for us, it's detrimental in our community that we not start because we had a mentality, but continue to advance the mentality of ownership in our communities and not just be allowed to be pushed out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and it's this thing, like, we talked about a little bit about the family in LA, that sold the beach back, right, to the city. But we can say, well, they should have went with a developer, they should have did this, they should have did that. But man, Lord knows how much the taxes was, right? You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Lord knows how much, how much infighting or maybe disagreements there was with the family, and they just had to say, you know what, we just got to give it up. You know what I'm saying? But so I'm saying that to say it's like, at times, we can talk about not being pushed out, we giving up grandmama's house and all that type of stuff. That's not necessarily true all the time. You know what I mean? We literally can be pushed out by how much it costs just to maintain and live in that neighborhood. You know what I mean? So we have to, like, form these groups, just like, some of these other cultures that help each other out. And it doesn't have to always be a monetary help. You know what I'm saying? It could be, hey, I got an accountant that can show you how to save some money this way. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we got an opportunity. We can do this on the street together. Like, we have to maintain these working relationships in order to stay in these neighborhoods that are being gentrified, because it is unaffordable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's, to answer your question, man, we have a true responsibility as Black entrepreneurs to maintain and to hold on to a little bit of piece of what we have.
And Clint,
because
go ahead.
as Will, like, these property values, they go up. You know what I'm saying? They go up. So if you got a restaurant in the business, you like, man, hey, I need some help with just the property itself. Get you a partner. Get you somebody that got it. Don't necessarily want to be in the operation side, but hold on to their property because it's going up.
That's absolutely
right.
What
I'm saying? And sell it if that's the case, but don't sell it to the lowest bidder.
And one thing you said was so important is because it's important to know about the economic advantages to being in these areas, is because when I bought I have 3 commercial real estate properties right in the same neighborhood, lower economic disadvantaged area, but it's on the rise. And if I was not aware of programs and things like opportunity zones and things like I'm blanking on the name right now, but it's a program you can lock in your property value tax for 10 years, up to 15, depending on how many improvements you made and et cetera, because they want you to invest in these areas. But you can buy the property and not know these things are available and end up getting your taxes raised. But you got to understand how to play with governments. And so, have you ever had to, engage with politicians to make these things work at the scale that you're at?
Yeah, we unfortunately, where we're from, Nashville, there hasn't been as many advantages to engage in politics, especially when it comes to reinvesting in our own communities. At one point there was the opportunity zones that they were, trying to push, and there was also, I think there was
it was a blighted property.
the blighted property grant where if you spent 100,000, on your property
exterior, you get
10% back.
It's like how many startups got 100,000 just to burn and get 10% back?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
but then I have a friend in in DC. She's a restaurateur as well. That was telling me about a program there that if you want to open up a concept and you have history of being a business in business, then you can get a grant for 80,000 in certain neighborhoods to be able to open up your business to improve the economy there. And so I think a lot of it depends on what the city is looking for and what they're willing to do and what their leadership already looks like.
Memphis, we got a grant from Memphis. It was exterior. It was almost like a blighted property grant, but you didn't have to have a spin. It was automatic. If you open a business in this area, we're gonna give you 60, 80 grand, for your exterior, for your facade.
Your facade, yeah.
That went a long way for us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
and then you go vice versa, here in town, we've had, and there's articles about it where, they bring in an economic development person within the mayoral's office, and that person came out publicly and was basically like, "Man, I don't have any power. I'm here to be a face, for an administration." And so that takes a lot out of you when you think about going and fighting, because at the same time we have a responsibility to make sure we continue to open up businesses and run them well.
That's right.
Yeah, so I think it depends on the place a lot of times versus the person that's wanting to fight the battle.
Yeah, and it did come to me. It was what I was talking about. It's called a Community Reinvestment Area, CRA, and a lot of geographies across the country have them. So if you're looking into buying commercial real estate, it is something to look into, whether it be calling your mayor's office or the city administration, economic development offices. Look into community reinvestment areas. They are often in the lower income zip codes, and because they need them to turn around. So we need that investment. Clint, you had said something a couple of times about investing in these areas, particularly historically Black areas. You said it's needed. And it's one thing for it to be needed. It's another thing for it to actually make money in that area, because you could have something that's needed and you can't get 2 nickels out of it. How do you balance what's needed in a particular geography, whether it be your pizza shop or whether it be one of your other businesses, and having the need to turn a profit?
You want to answer that? I can go.
I got a piece of it.
Man, it's a tough balance, man, because on one end you want to do what's right for the people in the neighborhood. You want to do what's right just for your people, right? But you gotta make a profit. And I think that for us, we found a good formula to be able to do both. And that is, it's funny, but it's true when we talk about these gentrified areas, right? So when we go find the spot in Atlanta on Metropolitan, this one on Buchanan, man, we be like, man, if you see some little Black kids running around and you see a white woman walking the dog or running on the street, you found it, right? Because it's the perfect mix. It's the blend. You know that the affluent, they moving in. You know what I'm saying? That number two, they don't fear the people in the neighborhood. They feel safe enough to run with, you know what I'm saying? Take a run early in the morning. But you see these Black kids and they still here. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we that formula has worked for us. It's getting a little bit more tricky because gentrification is on the rise, and it's a fast rise. So a lot of that is going away. You know what I'm saying? But if we can find that, then then we know we got some balance. We can provide jobs, but we also got these affluent people here that can afford our product. They feel safe, and they want to be a part of the neighborhood. They just don't really know how.
Yeah.
So we yeah.
And then on the on the young investment side, right? What we found is, it's hard, as a young African American to go out and, areas that are already thriving and purchase property.
That's right.
But what we can do is find areas like Mo just suggested where, it's still affordable, right? And you can find some commercial real estate that's affordable, fits your budget, and you open up a business in it, then you can play the PropCo-OpCo game, right? So like for us, for example, we own about 50% of our properties. Well, we come in, we purchase the property. Let's take Atlanta, Adair Park, close to the historic West End, for example. I think we purchased that property for about $330,000.
$330.
Where can you find, buy an entire corner in a huge metropolitan city for $330,000, right?
Right.
We found that in West Atlanta. All right, so
Wow.
we reinvested, got some financing with the bank to build a brand new restaurant on top of it. We come out of there, the building's worth over $2 million at this point, right?
Wow.
And that's an extreme amount to be able to have the mortgage. But when you have a business that can come in as a tenant initially and do business, now you're paying your mortgage at the same time you're paying your rent.
Mm-hmm.
So we own two companies on that block. We own the real estate side of it, and we own the operational side of it. And the operational side is paying the bills. And so playing that game in the right areas with the right deal can be very advantageous. And, look at that area that I was just describing now. When we first went there was nothing on the street where we invested. Now there's a multi-use, huge project being built across the street. So that $2 million valuation is going to probably go up to about, hopefully 3 or 4, in the next 6 months once that's complete. And that's all about just taking an opportunity on reinvesting in the hood. And so I think it's very important to learn that game. If you own a business and you're looking to, buy property, PropCo-OpCo game was taught to us by, our mentors. We were coming up, and it really works.
Mo, when we were talking, when I met you in one of the restaurants, I'd asked you about the pizza business, and was this something that you were just passionate about, or was it just an opportunity? And we talked about being opportunistic, and too often we feel the pressure as Black entrepreneurs to find something you've been passionate about forever, and you just, you've been wanting to be an engineer and start a startup since you were a kid or whatever, or start a pizza company since you were a little kid, but you guys were like starting businesses because there was opportunity, not necessarily that you wanted to just be this your entire life. But can you talk about the benefits and let's just talk about how you think about opportunity versus finding something that you necessarily wanted to do forever. It doesn't have to be that way. You could just be opportunistic to find these success.
Absolutely. And I remember that conversation. I think you and I, we both said same thing, but you put it in the right words. And I've used it. I've said it before, to some other folks. It's just like as Black folks, man, we don't always have the opportunity to be opportunistic, right? Because once we graduate college, man, we thinking about these loans that we got to pay back. We got to go get this job. We got to do all the things that our counterparts don't have to worry about. You know what I'm saying? We got to go back and get mama some money. We got to help mama on the bills. So we take on jobs, even though we had these grand ideas, but we take these jobs just based off of responsibility. You know what I'm saying? And what we don't have. So we don't have the opportunity to be, or don't have the chance or the opportunity to just be opportunistic. Whereas if I had a nest egg and my family set me up, you know what I mean? I can go out there and make $100,000, $200,000 mistake. You know what I'm saying? So, but for us, I mean, I think that we were young enough didn't have as many responsibilities as we have now to take advantage of opportunities that came our way, and we didn't go in looking at when we started a moving company. We were 25 when we started our first company, and we started that company with $3,000, right? So we were naive enough to think that this would work. You feel what I'm saying? And it did. You know what I mean? But it's, how can I say it? We just wanted to solve a problem. You know what I mean? We saw a need. It's not like we were passionate about moving furniture. You know what I'm saying? But we had a passion for being entrepreneurs, and we had a passion for solving problems and filling voids and a need, and that trickled down to great business. So that, you know what I'm saying, for 7 figures, something that we started with $3,000 into what we're doing now with Slim Huskies. And again, we see a void. We see a void in our communities socially, but we see a void economically, because we have all these restaurants. We have, Chinese restaurants, Mexican restaurants. All these cultures have their identity within their restaurants, and we needed ours. So we filled the void, a need there, and then also an economic or opportunity void by providing our people that look like us with jobs. You know what I'm saying? So I think our thing is, man, we see an opportunity to solve a problem, and we jump on it. So
It's sometimes, when you just know a market and you go after an opportunity, do you feel the need to go deep into like market studies? Like when I started my social club here, like I didn't do a whole market study. I knew the community. So I guess from that perspective, it was a market study. But how do you, when you say there's Chinese restaurants, there's other types of restaurants, how did you know pizza was the one to lean on that you could actually add value to? Because what I think about is, when you're starting a business, there's this, phrase in tech, like you got to lean into the thing that you have a unique value proposition. Like, what makes you the person to solve this problem, right? Mm-hmm. And how do you think about, from your perspective, starting in Nashville, what made pizza the thing that you're going to tackle versus the other opportunities that could have been in front of you and that were in front of you, I'm sure?
Yeah, I think there's several reasons. First reason was, we grew up those TGIF kids, watching, our favorite shows on Friday night, watching wrestling, with our sleepovers, with our friends, and always eating pizza, and like pizza was just one of those things that we love. So that kind of falls into, we were talking about being authentic. I think pizza is just one of those things that, if you don't like pizza, man, I can't trust you. And so we already had a love for pizza. Other thing, growing up in the South, and a lot of our neighborhoods, a lot of our Black-owned restaurants and concepts offer a lot of similar things. So, you got your wing spots, you got your soul food spots. We wanted to come with something. Yeah, in Nashville, home of hot chicken, we got tons of hot chicken spots, and we love those places. But we wanted to come, with something different, something that we knew everybody would love, and something that we could just really put our culture behind that wasn't done before. And also something that's not too expensive. So, knowing that we wanted to serve our people, we wanted something that was affordable, that could be created in a healthy way, fulfilling, and, just offer who we are in our best way possible.
And we did, as far as like the research part about it, man, we did research on what do Americans eat. You know what I mean? What are the popular foods? And that was hamburgers, hot dogs, pizza, tacos. You know what I'm saying? It was we didn't want to do hamburgers. It was during a time where craft burger spots was popping up all over the place in the city. You know what I'm saying? And then hot dogs, man. We didn't feel like we could jazz that up enough to where, it would feel good to us. You know what I'm saying? We already in our community. You eating the glizzy. You know what I'm saying? You're already behind the 8-ball, right? You know what I'm saying? So we can't be the glizzy kings. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I mean? So we was like, we're gonna leave it alone. And then the tacos, man, we didn't feel like we could do we felt like we could do anything, but we wanted to leave that to where it was already working. So it was like pizza, man. We Americans eat pizza, eat an abundance of pizza. It has high growth rates as far as an industry, a food industry, and we understood the cost, and it's not so like it's not segregated into like like a demographic of people that will or won't eat pizza. Man, everybody's eating pizza. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And so it's like, man, we can dive into that, make that cool. It fits us. We grew up on pizza. We grew up on pizza parties, Ninja Turtles, all that type of stuff. Like, we could do that. You know what I'm saying? And it worked out for us. So it was a little bit of research, a lot of bit of chance. And we knew that we didn't just want to depend on pizza to be the selling point or to bring people in the doors. It was the music, it was the art, it was the community aspect of it. So, and we understood that was a need to be filled in all of those areas.
How do you decide, because you're in multiple states even now, forget just cities, but how do you decide which markets to explore for new locations?
Well, that's a very good question because, when we initially start going places, I think our first city we ventured into was Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And so we just knew, hey man, Atlanta's gonna hit. It's 6 million people down there. It's arguably the new mecca of hip hop. We got a hip hop, based brand. Like, it's gonna work, right? So we started off doing the eyeball test, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of feeling it out. And then also using social media and seeing, what kind of traction we're getting from different places. Outside of, Nashville and Memphis, Tennessee, Atlanta was that city where everybody's like, man, y'all got to come here, y'all got to come here, right? So we listen to the consumers through social channels and engaging it that way. But I think, now that we, got to, about 10 units and looking to grow even more, now we're starting to dive in because it's going to become a lot more about dollars and cents now than ever before as we, grow to more locations. And so, now we're taking, advantage of the studies that are out there, getting with real estate and community, professionals to say, can you guys give me the data that we need to ensure that this location is going to be a hit? Because, we've had some locations where we went where, we honestly, thought that our brand and our stories and marketing has been done on us would carry us, but we started off a little slower than what we expected. And so that was a learning curve in business to say, we starting to get up there with the big dogs. We got to do what the big dogs do. Yeah. And so, data is key for us now.
It was one thing to open up a shop remotely. It's another to manage it, from a distance. And how do you do that? Because you got to scale at this point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we got a great team. So first, the way to scale is processes, man. You know what I'm saying? So your SOPs, right? So no matter where you are, what city, what time zone, at 9:00 in Atlanta, they're doing the same thing at when it's 9:00 in Nashville, when it's 9:00 at 9:00, don't matter. We should be able to call at their time zone and look on the camera, and they're doing exactly all the same things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. At that specific time. So processes is important. Documenting those and training those is the most important thing we thinking about scaling, right? And I think as a community, we miss that. Like, we go into it with the mom and pop attitude. You know what I mean? Mom and pop gonna go open the doors, turn the lights on, and operate the business, right? And we never scale. You know what I'm saying? We great ideas, but never scale. So for us, we knew that we didn't want to be in a building all the time. We knew that we wanted to go take advantage of what we have and grow it. So we start these processes. So the way you cook, the temperature of the oven is the same. Where you get the product is the same. All those things allow you to scale. And we did that with the moving company. Even though we stayed in Nashville, we started building these SOPs at the tender age of 25, 26, man. And we understood that we wanted to scale one day. We read a book called Built to Sell, which helped us out a whole lot. And but anyways, man, that's how you scale, and that's how you manage in these other locations, as well as having a good team. You know what I mean? So you got a good team of general managers, you got a good director of operations and chief operations, and those two guys make sure that what we implemented, what we built is happening all across our stores in these different states and time zones.
And then it's also important to know, like when we had the moving company, as Mo said, we were building those SOPs, but as guys were coming in, we're training them, we're giving them paper packets, like, hey, take that home, read the handbook, look at this training module, you know what I'm saying? But now with the restaurant, we've been able to take advantage of technology because, we know that, paper's a thing of the past, but, we work off checklists that, as he said, every store is doing the same thing at the same time. And we could pull up on our cell phones and log into the app and see which GM at this store didn't do what, or, who's at 100% completion rate, so technology is so important to adopt when you're starting to talk about scale nowadays, especially within hospitality, because it saves us so much time and money.
That. And for the people who are listening, who are thinking about anything near the verticals, you guys, I want you guys to leave them with some words about partnership, because obvious you guys, three of you guys, with EJ, and talk about how, because you mentioned, you went into scale a little bit and how we get stuck in the mom and pop, area, Mo. And so part of why partnerships get broken up is because we don't understand our responsibilities. Clint's doing what Mo should be doing, Mo's doing what EJ should be doing, and et cetera, et cetera. How do you guys designate who does what so you don't feel like you're stepping on each other's toes in order to continue to build a great partnership with the three of you guys?
We define roles early on, and we understand each other's strengths and weaknesses, right? So Clint, out of all of us, he's a lot more social. You know what I mean? Not a lot, because me and Clint about here and there, but I mean but I understand. I have the mind for logistics and operations more because I was an air traffic controller. You know what I mean? At one point in time in my life, I worked in sales. At one point in time in my life, I had all these jobs that I got fired from at one point in time in my life that prepared me for what I can do now. You know what I mean? Construction jobs, all that type of stuff. So we define roles really early on, and don't step and made it a goal to not step on each other's toes. Now sometimes these roles intertwine where I'll need to pull on Clint or I need to pull on EJ for something. But we define these roles and we trust each other to do these roles the right way. You know what I'm saying? As well as, forming these operating agreements before we open the door. You know what I mean? So we make sure the legal paperwork is right. And that alleviates, this one worry that we have, we go into it as partners, making sure that that's right. That frees us up to think forward and start thinking about new ideas and stuff like that. And we just, like I said, understand each other's strengths and weaknesses, man, and define these roles. And that allows us to work. It's not always great together because we human beings, but that allows us to grow and scale. And when things go astray, we're able to fix it a lot faster than if we were intertwining all these roles and I was doing Clint's job and I was doing EJ's job. That's how we pretty much work the partnership, man.
And what would you leave the audience with? Things that they should do if they're interested in getting hospitality anywhere, hospitality, food service. What kind of things were the things that you wish you would have known in closing?
I wish I would have understood. You think about taxes, man. Businesses in the movie industry, we didn't have nearly as many taxes as we have now. Liquor tax, food tax. Franchise and excise tax, all these taxes, man. I wish I would have understood that early on. As well as doing more market research, site selection research, those type of things. As a restaurant are very important. And sometimes, man, like you go back to the opportunist thing. Like sometimes we just have an idea and we just need to bust it open and try it, right, and learn as we go. So I never want to say know everything or know all these things before you start, because then you start to talk yourself out of it. But definitely do your research. have a good working idea, not just an idea, but a good working idea of what you're getting yourself into, and then just go for it, man, and to try and to fail, man. You got to do it. So
Yeah. Couple of things. First thing, if you're looking to go into a partnership, kind of stemming off the last question, don't think that every one of your friends is going to be a great partner, right? Like, I think what makes us great is that we all bring something different to the table. We all have a certain level of responsibility, and we know that we're working with good guys on the other side, right? Like we trust each other, and so we all got friends that have a lot of fun with, but they ain't gonna make a great business partner. So you got to know how to cipher through that a little bit. On the hospitality side, man, I think one thing that anybody can do that's interested in, whether it's food service or opening up their own spot or lounge or whatever the case is, man, go work in one. Go work in one. Take the opportunity to see what it's like on the inside out of operating a business when it comes to hospitality. That's the best way you can learn. If somebody would work for us for 5 years, they could easily leave here, with enough tools to go open up, a restaurant just based off of general knowledge. And the last thing I would say is, we haven't put a business plan together in a while.
Yeah.
But I think we just got a knack now. We want to open up a business. We know what needs to be done. But the very first one that we did, it took us a while to put it together because we were doing so much research on everybody around us. Man, we did market research on pizza restaurants from the East Coast to West Coast, from all across the United States to right here locally. We broke everything down. We got, I'll never forget, we were creating our sauces. We went around, got about 10 different pizza sauces from places, did blind taste tests, figured out which one we liked the best, measured that out to who was doing, getting the most sales. And, we were just doing different things, man, to figure out exactly who we wanted to be as a business and exactly what, the potential competition would look like in the marketplace. And so a lot of people don't realize that when we opened our first restaurant, we had been working on it for 2 years. If you look at any one of our original locations, we've got a seal on the front that says established 2015, but we didn't sell our first pizza, open our doors until March of 2017. But that established what represents us in the lab, figuring this thing out, testing pizzas, passing them out to the community at different events, getting the word out, figuring out our training program, working on our floor plans and going back and forth with the architects. I mean, at that point, we felt like this is when it got started. And I think that, entrepreneurs in any field need to know that sometimes it takes a little time to build success before you actually jump into it.
Yeah. And then I will leave with one other thing is, man, I tell people all the time, you got to fall in love with the sacrifice, right? So like if you don't love, love what you do, you got to love the sacrifice. You got to fall in love with it because it's going to be so many times and so many hours and days where your friends are able to go kick it, in Jamaica or the Bahamas or take a trip to Italy, and you want to be a part of it so bad, or you got the homie that just popped up and pulled up in the new whatever, you know what I'm saying, or all that type of stuff, right? But for what you're doing and what you can't do now, that's the sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? Because you setting yourself up for longevity. You know what I mean? Years and years and generations of wealth. You know what I mean? Not saying that your homies just taking the trips, they're not doing the same thing, but it just ain't your time. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta fall in love with the sacrifice, or you'll just be living in the moment, and all the work that you put in, it just be null and void.
Love that. Clint, Moe, thank you guys, man. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Will. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks for having us on, bro.